in the same way that women are not vending machines that you put niceness tokens into and sex comes out, men are not vending machines in a similar way where you put sex tokens into and you get a relationship out of them.
Yeah, everyone learns their own lessons.
Yeah, I mean, look, and to be fair though, there are plenty of men in furtherance and in an effort to get sex from you will lie about their intentions. They'll say, I'm looking for something serious, and I want a relationship, and they will perhaps use this to make you give it up when you otherwise wouldn't.
I do appreciate that you're looking at both sides and not just saying that maybe women will manipulate, but yes, so it's good that you're saying both.
Yeah, men manipulate. Men will do this all the time, and I'm sure maybe some of you have had this experience where, the guy said, here's his intentions, and then, his intentions didn't really pan out to be that way. Although there's like all kinds of things that can happen after sex where like maybe that was the guy's intentions, but like you guys had sex and then it wasn't the sex, it was just like your conduct post-sex was like, I'm not saying like the pillow talk, I'm just saying like you're not owed a relationship after you have sex with us if your conduct is f***ing dog awful prior or post-sex. Conduct. I'm not saying like in that moment after sex. Well, no, it's like you're a woman and then like the guy has sex with you and you start treating him horribly or whatever.
Oh yeah, no, of course they're not owed anything.
Just because you guy and you're like still a piece of shit doesn't mean he owes you a relationship.
Of course not.
So
I agree with Sienna though, there is a learning curve, I think, at least for me personally, but I also like I really love like kind of what you're talking about, because I was always told like you're gonna get left if you give it away too easy, but like obviously
let them leave you, because they're not gonna stay. They're not gonna stay. You got to find somebody who loves you for you. The dirty, gritty people go through mental health crisis. They go through physical crisis. They go through financial crises. You need somebody who sees you and just loves you for your raw self and doesn't like, and you're not gonna find that by just manipulating into a relationship or pretending to be something you're not. If you like sex and you're a slut, say, hey, I like sex and I'm a slut. And if they you and they leave, cool, deuces, I'll find somebody else that actually loves me for me, and I have. So just nice. Coming from personal relationship. Yeah,
I mean, I hooked up on the first date and 17 years later it's still working out. I think you're also coming from the stance of assuming that every man wants to hook up on the first date, which is a big assumption. I'm sure plenty of guys do, but to say that that's like a punishment to not do that is not really fair, because not all guys want to do that on the first date.
I mean, I do agree that there are men who they're not going to make the move for sex on the first date, but it does seem to be the case that there's enough men will encounter this where the man does want to have sex and the woman's like, and hey, you as a woman, if you want to wait 100 years or whatever, like you can always do that, it's your call, but there are women who are gonna
but that would be the opposite anyway.
I think it's also a chemistry thing, like
well hang on. That would be the opposite. So even if the guy didn't want to hook up on the first day, let's say he had religious convictions, something like this, and he's like, look, I'm not even looking for a girl who's like that. If they had some understanding or were told, by the way, I hooked up with the previous two guys before you immediately. I still think that even if they didn't want to hook up, they would still see that as being problematic. Right? I still think that they would see it that way.
Exactly. That's like kind of our point, but yeah, it's cool. It's kind of our point, but it's cool.
I think it's, like Sienna said, I do think it's a learning curve. Like, the guy can say, oh yeah, it's problematic that she's done this before. Well, maybe I didn't know that I'd get treated so badly if I just gave into like what I wanted immediately. I didn't know that. And now I've learned, now I've gotten older, and now I'm meeting somebody actually like, and I'm going to be respectful now, and I'm going to change my mind on this, and I'm going to treat people better. I'm going to get treated better. There is a learning curve.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure. But doesn't that present a value judgment assessment problem? Meaning, doesn't that bring into question your judgment for the person who you're dating? They go, oh damn, you just got really bad judgment then.
Maybe I'll admit that let's say or for someone else, right, that had that past too, or bad judgment, it's okay to say that. I mean, it's when your parents say, oh, I was just so dumb when I was younger. I was just such a dumb teenager, maybe especially with going in with it thinking that you're meeting someone and you like them, and you're just naive about the dating world, and you're naive about, I guess, how guys think, but you're talking to someone and you're just kind of dipping your feet into, I mean, maybe you just lost your virginity or just got out of a relationship after losing your virginity, and now your friend is talking about, oh, I'm going to download Tinder, and you're like, wait, okay, maybe I should too, right? I don't know. I have these feelings and hormones, and I guess now that I've done it, whatever. I don't know. Maybe it's a loose. But
if chastity were the order of the day, right? Wouldn't all these problems dissolve anyway? Like, wouldn't they just not be problems anymore?
Wait, what are you saying? Sorry.
Yeah, if chastity were the order of the day, like,
I think that
let's
sometimes.
Say men
sometimes
let's say men
not.
and women decided collectively that they were going to be chaste instead and like wait till marriage or something.
I think
Doesn't
that waiting can be just
dissolve
fine.
all of these issues immediately?
No, because I was with a guy for 4 months, never slept with him, and it was the worst sex of my life that I didn't even want to talk to him ever again.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with this issue. That would present a different issue, which we could get to that different issue, but
No,
I don't see how it wouldn't resolve this problem.
Everyone has their own, again, like learning curve in a way, and I think chastity can be, just as good, because sex and doing it with other people, it shouldn't be a person's first priority. There should be more, let's say me, for example, I'm not really, now I'm choosing that it's not going to be like a priority for me, because there's so many things that I'm lacking in myself that I just want to focus on that. So will I be going on future dates or whatever? I mean, I don't know. Some people will wait, some people won't. I feel like I'm rambling here.
Well, I'll move things on.
Well, with chastity, kind of like what you were mentioning, I think it's a good balance. I think that it can be very, like, okay, if we're to look at it scientifically, people, once again, we release hormones when we have sex. What is there to be committed to if you're not having sex or seeing, sex is not just like sex. It's like, seeing parts of you that are like embarrassing or raw or like, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it brings people closer together, and there's a reason humans do it. You know what I mean? So it's like this good balance between, do we have stuff outside of sex? Yes. But also, is our sex empty? Are we just like, or are we like, two people that like make mistakes and like, I don't know, it sounds like stupid as hell, but like what I'm trying to say is I don't think chastity would fix everything, because what is there to be loyal to? I mean, obviously you said people. Okay.
I do have to move things on. But I guess final thing on this. I suppose even for those of you who don't want a guy to pay for the first date, I'll ask it one more time. This is how you would feel in this situation. Disregard the motivations of why the man is doing this. Really just think about how you would feel in the situation. You go on a date with a guy. He's expressed to you he sees long-term potential in you. He's really interested in you. He really, really likes you. He wants to go 50-50 on the bill. You also know, you find out, he tells you that the last 5 women that he's been on a date with, who he had casual sex with them the first night. He took them to a really fancy dinner and paid for everything, right? Knowing this, that he gave them that treatment, even if you don't care if it's 50-50, knowing that he's treating you differently, he's going 50-50 with you, but for those other women who just were for casual sex, he felt the need or did give them this additional benefit, I guess, of paying for a really nice date. Does that rub you the wrong way at all?
No, because I do 50-50 anyway. I like it that way. So
I literally granted.
It doesn't rub me the right way. It does not rub me the right way.
You don't even care.
No,
Okay.
If there's chemistry, I don't care.
Yes, it rubs me the wrong way, but same with how if I said no to sex on the first date and he knew all of these men, and like same with everything, we could have like she said, we could have a conversation about it. This is why I'm doing this with you, because all these men have treated me like so, and like I really like blah blah blah. We could come to something. I'm very like understanding and stuff. So I feel like we could have whatever.
Okay, all right.
No, it's not that answer you
I
wanted.
think you just want like a cut and dry answer. So yeah, it would rub me the wrong way.
Yeah, at that point, let's just not do something with money. If you're just we can do other things that don't involve money, like kind of like she said, go to the park.
Yeah.
There's no point. It's like if you're gonna do it, go big or go home. Like we could either do things that don't involve money, or we could do something that like shows something.
Yes.
I don't eat fast food, so I would say, can we just go to the park or go some other place like a taqueria that's equally as cheap? But no, it would not rub me the wrong way.
Okay.
No.
What do you think the male equivalent of this like analogy that you're giving would be to us saying like, oh, we can just go to the park would be for sex? Is there one?
DJ.
Just
Just give me the tip, baby.
I don't actually understand the question.
I don't. Yeah.
She's saying instead of turning it into a modernized game.
So all of us said like, oh, if he can afford the
I
first date or
understand.
whatever, we can whatever.
I understand. So it's essentially, so a guy who would not be capable of like taking you on a nice date, and I don't know if it's a compromise, but he still is trying to put in the effort of
Because
taking
we're all
you to
saying
the
we'd be
park?
cool with a picnic date.
Picnics are really fun.
But you're saying like it's sex or like whatever, kind of, right?
I'm trying to wrap my head around this logically. I'm trying to understand what you're saying here.
It's so much hypotheticals. I get it.
Yeah.
What would be the equivalent for a woman to do as it pertains to sex? Maybe somebody in the chat, I'm curious, what do you guys, if you guys have parsed what she said, what would be the equivalent?
I'm happy to answer it. I just don't actually understand what she's asking.
Should I repeat it?
Yeah, just.
Okay, so
yeah.
basically, like, all of us gave an out for the person who can't provide on the first date. He did provide for all these girls, right? Sorry. It's okay. He did provide for all these girls, but for us, we're saying, like, you know what? If he showed the effort and if he took us on a picnic date, doesn't have to be like no money involved. He just really showed us that he wanted us. What would the woman equivalent to this be? Like, of us not putting out on the first date, but we did for these other guys.
I don't think
Bring him lunch at work.
Lunch at work? Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, bring him lunch at work.
I've done that a bunch of times.
nice.
That's cute. I love that. That's the equivalent to having sex
That
on
is
the
really
first
cute.
date.